Started to think about the possibility of some kind of compound in the brain with psychedelic properties that could be underlying some of these spontaneous experiences. I began becoming interested in the pineal gland as a possible source of some kind of psychedelic chemical in the brain. It's an extremely mysterious organ. It's quite small. There seemed to be some kind of a kind of visual correspondence with light and with color in the pineal. And also it has quite a long history in the context of the mystical literature. It's been described as the third eye and as the crown chakra, those kinds of things. And it's spoken of as being activated when people attain quite high mystical states. And so one of the interesting aspects of pineal development also is that it appears in the human embryo at around 49 days of gestation. And 49 days is also the time that the Tibetans believe is required for one soul to incarnate onto the next. So that was a pretty interesting, coincidence. At the time of the differentiation of the fetus into either male or female, that also occurs at that 49-day period. And so I was struck with this interesting kind of temporal, correspondence. And so as time went on, I started, looking into some of the chemistry of the pineal gland. And it seemed as if it was capable of making a compound called DMT. DMT stands for dimethyltryptamine. It's like a chemical cousin of serotonin. And it's quite a profound hallucinogenic type of chemical. It seemed as if the pineal contained all of the precursors and all the enzymes and all of the building blocks that would be required to make DMT. So I started speculating about perhaps there was DMT released in the pineal gland and stimulating the brain under extraordinary states, either through spontaneous mystical states, the time of death, or at times close to death. And also I started speculating that perhaps it was stimulated at the time of birth as well. The pineal gland is extremely well protected from stress, but you can stress the pineal gland if the stress is great enough. Pineal's protective mechanism can be overridden. DMT is, kind of a portal, or kind of a door for the transport of the spirit out of the body, it appears to me.
Well, the center of your brain has a small gland in it called the pineal gland, which, as you can see here, it was called pineal because it's shaped like a pine cone. This is the exact geometric center of your brain. It's right here. And this, as we're going to see, is very important in ancient cultures. The Sumerians gave it a description, which you can see here, the little acorns on the top of the staff that he had. And there's also a little jobber up here. why in the world are all these cultures focusing on the pine cone? This is Osiris, the lord of the underworld in Egyptian mythology. This is his staff, which, as we now know, this is the raising kundalini, the serpent, but it also represents DNA. And there on the top, as the kundalini rises, what are they looking at? They're looking at the pine cone. That's the junction point where all this energy comes together. Now, King Tut has this kundalini serpent actually going through his head. That's a symbol that they gave that the pineal is fully activated, that your chakras have now all turned into that nested set of spheres, and that access from the higher realms is moving directly through your head. They believed he had that. Whether he did or not, we don't know. Here's the Babylonian god Tammuz, and as you can see, he's holding a pine cone. So once again, he's a very powerful god from that tradition, and you're seeing the same type of symbolism coming through. Then you go over into Hinduism, the goddess Shiva, the goddess of destruction, the breaking down of the old to purify the way for the new. What does her head look like? What does that hair look like? It's another pineal gland. And you've also got the redundancy with the symbol of the third eye, and you've got the serpent wrapped around her head. The same iconography once again. And it's so powerful in the Hindu tradition that even now it's common practice to wear a symbol of the third eye on your forehead if you're a woman. And they all have these various bindis, as they're called, that they can order and wear. This is, as we go more into more recent gods, the god of drunkenness and revelry, Bacchus. You can see he has the goat-shaped ears here, the kind of demonic almost looking, and he also has cloven feet. But then look at this. What's that? Deliberately to honor the pine cone.